G'day and welcome to another video. In today's lesson we will learn how to make this market bag. It is made using basic stitches. We use the treble crochet as well as the single crochet and the chain stitch. You can adjust the length of the bag very easily. You can also adjust the thickness of the straps and also the border around the top of the bag. So let's get started on the lesson. I used approximately 200 grams or 7 ounces of yarn to make this bag. For today's project we will need a crochet hook to go with your yarn. I'm using 10 ply or medium worsted weight cotton. You can use any yarn that you want for this bag. We're going to need a sewing needle with a large eye and also a pair of scissors. We're going to need 4 stitch markers. You can use bobby pins or hair clips like I have, or you can use pieces of yarn, or you can even use professional stitch markers. To start the project we will need to make a magic ring. There are plenty of different ways to do this, but this is how I make mine. I just hold the short piece in my hand, I wrap the yarn around my fingers to create a loop. I just grab the loop off my hand, pick up the main strand of yarn, and I like to, this is how I hold it so you don't have to do the same thing, but I just like to hold it like that. So we've still got the loop there with the main strand of yarn. I go through the middle and then pull up a loop. We want to chain 5 for this project. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The chain 4 counts as the first stitch and the 5th chain counts as a chain 1. And in this project we're going to be using a treble crochet. And for the treble crochet we wrap our yarn twice. We go into the stitch, so in this case it's into the centre of the ring. We yarn over, pull up a loop. We've got 4 loops on our hook. Yarn over, pull through 2. You've got 3, yarn over, pull through 2, 2 loops on your hook, and yarn over and pull through 2. Then we are going to chain 1. Do another treble, so it's yarning over twice. Going into the centre of the ring. Pull the other side. Into the centre of the ring, pulling up a loop where you have 4 loops on your hook, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Then we're going to chain 1. We're going to continue this until we have 20 treble stitches, including that first one. So that's 1, 2, 3, working into the centre. Pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2, and chain 1. And every stitch in this project, until we get up to the section where we make the handles, the main part of the bag is worked with a treble and a chain 1. So we want to continue around doing trebles and chain 1s into the centre. You can pull that a little bit tighter if you need to. Don't close it right up because we do need to work into the centre there. So working your treble, chain 1, working a treble, chain 1. Keep going until we have 20 stitches into the ring. So I'm coming to the end of my row and I've just done my chain 1, and then we want to slip stitch into the top. Actually, we need to slip stitch into the chain, into the 4th chain, sorry, not to the top. We have, we can find it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We want to go back, so we don't want to go into the 5th one, we want to go into the 4th one, because we need that 5th one as our chain 1 space to separate our stitches. So going into that 4th chain and then working a slip stitch. Now we can pull on the centre piece, that centre strand of yarn, and close up our gap. And it is going to go all wavy. Because we've got so many stitches in that centre ring, it is going to be wavy. But what this does, gives us a really big bottom. So we can fit lots of things in our bag. What we want to do now, and each row is started with a chain 5. And this row we're going to increase, and we're going to work 2 stitches into each stitch. So the chain 5 is counted as our first stitch plus our chain 1. So yarning over twice, going into the same stitch, and working our treble. And on this round, every stitch is separated by a chain 1, so we just did our chain 1. Finding our next stitch, so we've just done this one. We aren't going to be working into the chain 1s, we are only working into the trebles. So working into the top of the treble, chain 1, working another treble into that same stitch as we did before, chain 1, finding the next treble stitch, not the chain 1, we're working into the treble, chain 1, and work one more treble into that same stitch. So each stitch is going to be putting 2 trebles and a chain 1. So that's treble, chain 1, back into the same stitch for a treble and chain 1. So each stitch has treble, chain 1, treble, chain 1 into each stitch around, but we are not working into the chain 1, we are only working into the treble stitch. And we're going to repeat this around until we get back to the beginning. When we get to the end, we are going to be joining into the 4th chain. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and the fifth chain up there counts as our chain 1 to separate our stitches. So joining into there with a slip stitch. We've just completed row 2. So row 3 is chain 5, then we're going to work a treble into the next stitch. Chain 1, work 1 treble back into the same stitch, chain 1, into the next stitch we're just going to work 1 treble, chain 1. What we're going to do is all the way around we're going to alternate between working 1 treble and 2 trebles. So we've just done 1 into that stitch, so into the next one we need to work 2. And don't forget your chain 1 to separate all your stitches. Okay, so we've got 1, then 2, then 1 and 2. We want to repeat this all the way around. So the next one is 1, going into the next stitch, so our next stitch has to have 2, and our next stitch is 1. So repeat this all the way around until we get back to the beginning. When we get to the end of the round, we have to go into the 4th chain. So 1, 2, 3, 4, because the 5th one counts as our chain 1. And that's all the increasing that we're going to work onto this bag. If you would like to add more increase rows, what you will need to do is chain up 5. And you know how we did 1 stitch and then 2? Well, you would have to do your chaining up. Then in this stitch you would do just the 1 treble in your chain 1. And in the 3rd stitch you would work your 2 trebles. So in every 3rd stitch you would work your 2 trebles, and that will be another increase around for you. And I've just realised that I have missed an increase there, so I will just quickly put that in. You always end on an increase. So I'll just notice that really easily because there wasn't an increase there. So it's the beauty with crochet. If you make a mistake, you can just rip it out and start again. So the next part of the bag, I'll just show what I've got so far. Next part of the bag is basically the easy bit. So it's all going to be wavy. And if you've ever made a hat and it started to go wavy like that, it means you've got too many stitches in your circle that you've tried to make. And normally you've got too many increases, and normally it'll be on your 2nd or 3rd row where your mistake is if you've made too many. But for this project it's fine, it's supposed to do that, because we want lots and lots of room in the bottom of our bag. So what we need to do for the next round, and for as many rounds as you want to, I did a total of 12 rounds starting from the beginning, so that's 1, 2, 3. I kept going with this next part until I had 12 rounds altogether. So including those first 3, so another 9, another 9 rows. So chain 5. Treble crochet in the next stitch, chain 1, and we're going to treble crochet and chain 1 in every stitch around. Chain 1, treble into the next stitch, and continue around until we get back to the beginning. And then when we get to the end, we're going to join to the top of the chain 4. sorry, I shouldn't say it that way, join into the chain 4. It's the 4th chain, not the 5th one, because the 5th one is our chain 1. Okay, so now we have this really weird looking circle. It's all baggy. But trust me, once it's got a lot more rows in it, it's going to look so much better. So keep going. I did 12 rows, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4. I just kept going, just using the 1 treble and the 1 chain. I did that until I had 12 rows, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you can continue until altogether you have 12. Of course you can do less, and of course you can do more. It's really up to you. Now, as they say in the classics, here's one I prepared earlier. Ta-da! This was the experiment bag to see if it worked. Now, you can't actually see all this, can you? But you would have seen at least one of them at the beginning of the video. So now what we want to do, see, it's huge, as you can see, like it's massive. Looks like a hat that would fit like 4 heads, not just one. So now what we want to do, after we've got our 12 rows, we will single crochet. Actually, I'm going to use the half double crochet. You could use a single crochet as well. We are going to work into the treble and also into the chain 1 space. Oh, excuse me. So chaining 1. I'm going to work a half double, so it's yarning over, going into the stitch. Into the chain 1 space, so into that big gap there, yarning over, going into there, yarning over, going into the top of the treble, yarning over, going into the chain 1 space, yarning over, going into the treble, and we're going to repeat this all the way around. So going into the chain 1 space and into the top of the treble. And work right around. You may want to put a stitch marker there. You're probably going to notice it when you come back around, but I'm going to stick one there so I don't forget where I'm up to. Alrighty, so keep going around until we come back to the beginning of the row. I'm up to my stitch marker, so I'm just going to take that out. Then we're going to slip stitch to the first stitch. To join. Now this next section, you can of course make as many rounds as you like. I'm going to do 3 so that they're all exactly the same. So chain up 1, yarn over, and half double crochet in the same stitch, or single crochet, whichever you chose. Half double crochet in each stitch around. And when you come back to the beginning, you slip stitch like we did on the previous row to join, and you can make as many rounds as you like. I'm going to put that stitch marker back in there, and I'm going to work this round and then another round after that. So what we're going to do now is the handles, and you're going to lay your bag flat so that the top edge are there together. Just laid our bag down. And you're going to put the, if you've already cut your yarn, then this bit doesn't matter, but if you're still attached like I am, we want to put the yarn where it's attached about a quarter of the way across. Okay. Then what we're going to do is fold it in half. So grabbing the other edge, putting the two edges together. So it looks like that. And then we're going to put this edge and that edge together. So we're going to fold that in half as well. And then with a bit of luck, where our yarn is still attached is where this fold is. So that was quite tricky because mine is. And what we need to do is grab our 4 stitch markers, and where the fold is here, we're going to put our stitch markers in. That's one. So you're going to have 4 layers that we've got here. That's one there where the yarn is attached. One there. And one there. This is just easier than counting all the stitches. So when we unfold it, oops, we've got the 4 places. This is really hard to show you because my bag doesn't fit in the video. We've got the 4 spots where we've got our stitch markers. And just make sure that when you put them together and fold that, come across to the other side, that your stitch markers line up. So that's like 1 stitch out, so we're going to just move that across. Alrighty, so they both line up, there we go. So now what we want to do, we have our yarn attached, and that will be where our stitch marker is. You're going to make a chain, and the chain is going to be how big you want your handles. So I'm going to chain, I'm going to try about 40 or 50 and see how big that comes out. So whatever number you choose, write it down because you're going to have to do exactly the same on the other side. So I'm going to chain, I'm going to do about 40 and then see how long it is. Alright, so I did 40 and that was not even close to enough. So I've actually done 70 chains. Now depending on how big you want your handle, so mine's going to be like an over the shoulder handle. If you only want a little handle, of course you don't need to make as many chains. I love how the colours have changed there in that chain too, by the way. Alrighty, so that's how big my handle is. It's approximately about 16 inches long, that chain, roundabouts, without measuring it. So after we've done our chain, we want to make sure it's not twisted. So just... and then we want to join into the next stitch marker. So the other stitch marker is here. That's the first one where our yarn was joined. Going into the second one, we are going to do a slip stitch. We are going to cut off our yarn. Don't worry about sewing in our ends because we can do that on the way back around. We're going to do a chain 1, then pull out. We are going to flip it over to the other side. So this is the side where we don't have our chains. We're going to put our hook in there where our stitch marker is, grab our yarn, lay it on top of the hook, pull through, and then do our 70 chains, or whatever number that you have decided. I have my chain attached, I've made my chain, and I'm going to go across to the next stitch marker, making sure that my chain isn't twisted. I'm going to join into the marked stitch with a slip stitch. Now we want to work a round of half double crochet or single crochet, depending on what stitch that you picked. We will chain 1, and work our stitch, and in every stitch we're going to be working a half double crochet. I'm actually going to leave the camera rolling until we get around to our next chain. So what colour combinations are you using? Are you using a multicoloured one, or are you just making like a solid colour? I think the top rounds here would be great if you had some scrap yarn. I think that'd look really cute. Okay, so I'm coming up to my next stitch marker's still there, but it's the next part of the chain that we've got here. Oops, did the wrong stitch. So keep going until you get to your stitch marker, or until you get to the start of the chain there if you've already removed your stitch marker. So for the handles, you can work them one of two ways. You can actually work into the, like you're going to work around the chain, so you're going to go into the middle, so that's the handle here, and that's the big hole that creates. You can go into the hole like that, and then work your stitch. So you're working around the chain. See that? I'll show you one more time. You're going around the chain with a hook, and then working your stitch. And you're going to work the same amount of stitches as you did your chains, or the method that I use, and I also use this on the solid granny square bottom bag. You're going to work into the stitch. Now this is going to be hard to see because my background is white as well. That wasn't very smart, was it? Going into the chain stitch, we're going to be working under 2 chains. Two loops on the top. Sorry, when I said 2 chains I meant 2 stitches, sorry. And working our stitch, going into the next chain, getting the 2 loops on the top, working our stitch. I prefer this method. I think this is just my personal opinion, I think it looks better, gives it a nice neat finish because you're working into the actual chain. By going under the 2 loops that we have on the top there, it doesn't leave a gaping hole on the bottom of the chain there. So we're going to work 1 stitch in every chain around, and then I will meet up with you when we've finished the handle section. Okay, so this is my handle, and this is the main section of my bag. I've got a thread there because that's where we've joined something in or finished something off. So that's my chain. I'm going to work into not the one where it's joined, the next one over. And I'm working over my tail there because I don't want to sew that in later. Because I don't know about you, but I hate sewing in ends. Okay, so we're going to continue around the bag until we get to the next handle. When we get to the handle section, we are going to work under both loops. I'm also going to try and crochet over this tail. Stick that over the hook. That's not working. Pull up a loop, pull through. So we're going to be working into our chain the same way that we did the other one. And you're going to continue around until we get back to this is the other end of the chain that I'm working on, or we're working on now, and we're going to join into the top of that stitch. So I'm just coming up to where I started. Just need to do one more stitch. And we're going to join with the slip stitch. So now, where we've got our yarn joined, that's the bag handle. So in this section in here, that's where you put your arm. And then from here to here is the side of your bag. And there's your next bag handle. So this next part is optional. You can either work 1 stitch in every stitch until you get to your next handle, or you can decrease on the sides. Now what I mean by decreasing on the sides, I'll show you what I mean. So between your bag handles, not the bag handle section, not in here where you put your hand, your arm, in the section between the handles. This is the sides of your bag. So what we're going to do is chain 1, yarn over. Now if you're working a half double crochet, this is how you will decrease. Yarn over, go into the next stitch, pull up a loop, keep the 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over, go into the next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, and yarn over and pull through all the loops on your hook. If you worked a single crochet, this is how you will do it. Go into the next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, 2 loops, go into the next stitch, pull up a loop, 3 loops, yarn over and pull through all 3. So depending on what stitch you use, you're going to do that. And we're going to work this all the way till we get to our next bag handle. So working your decrease, I'm using half double crochet stitch. So into your next stitch, and we're going to work this until we get to the other end, or where our next bag handle starts. So I'm going to continue across. Like I said, this is optional. You can work just a normal stitch in every stitch across. That's where patterns can be adjusted to suit what you like, so that's really good. Okay, so I'm just going to keep the camera rolling because I've only got to go to there. Oopsie. Okay. And then when you get to your handle, you're just going to continue working a normal stitch. And what that's going to do is just bring the sides of your bag in. See how it's all ruffled up? It's going to decrease it in and make the sides of your bag come in. Of course, like I said, you don't have to do that part. You can work that as normal. So now we're going to continue on doing a normal stitch on our bag handles, and then when we get to the other side we will work that decrease again. Yes, and then we'll work the other handle, and then we will be back to where we started. So here we go, I have my one finished. Thank you for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please subscribe, as there will be plenty more videos to come. Check out my new website for all my latest patterns. And until next time, happy crochet!